boys and girls, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of the Australian supernatural horror film Talk to Me. I was hesitant to watch this film, and the reason being, as much as I love horror, I love horror. I love being scared. I something about that trailer for this film disturbed me. It it deeply disturbed me. It just looked like it was going to be the scariest movie of the year, and I can say it's close to it. It is close to being the scariest movie I've seen this year. Talk to Me is directed by Danny and Michael Filippo, and this is their feature film directorial debut. They're YouTubers. They make short films and they put them on a YouTube channel, and lo and behold, they got the opportunity to make this film. And I watched one or two of their short films, and it's you know it's guys making a short film. It's nothing high budgeted and of theater quality, I guess you could say, but you can see them honing their skills, and I respect it to the highest degree. And so watching their YouTube content and then watching this film, it's night and day. They really did an awesome job with this film. As far as debut, this is probably the best directorial debut I've seen in years. Honest to God, I'm not just throwing it out there just to throw it out there. This was a well directed film, paced perfectly for a horror film of this caliber. It didn't give you the typical jump scares that we've come accustomed to in the past 20 years when it comes to horror. This was a truly deeply creepy film that could have easily went the cheap route, went the cheap jump scare route, the typical thing around the corner, a thing knocking on the door type thing. No, 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 no. There's nothing cheap about this. This was well constructed. The premise to Talk to Me goes as such. When a group of friends discover how to conjure spirits using an embalmed hand, they become hooked on a new thrill until one of them goes too far and unleashes terrifying supernatural forces. And I can tell you that synopsis does this film no justice. It's much more than that. This has a stellar cast, a lot of unknowns that I don't know about, with the exception of Miranda Otto, who you may know from The Lord of the Rings and Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds and many, many other films and television shows. She's the biggest star name in this film, but the rest are young, basically unknown to the majority of the world, but they're known now. They are awesome, led by Sophie Wilde is her name. She plays the character of Mia, and she's the star of this film. And what a job this young lady did here. She plays a character that's going through a lot of grief, dealing with the death of her mother. And when it comes to this seance that this group of kids are doing with this hand, she becomes hooked to it, and the thing that really drew my attention was the fact that going through this seance and talking to these spirits, allowing these spirits to take their bodies, was like a drug. They were experiencing a high, and they got hooked like any other drug. They got hooked to it, and especially Mia, who was just, I don't know, she was just amazed by it. And we see her character deteriorate, from the start of this film all the way to the very end when it just goes rock bottom for her. And it was a journey. And that's another testament to these directors who really brought us on a journey with this lead character. And step by step, it just made you feel it more, the creep factor, the horror factor, and, her emotional journey throughout this film. Very well done. The supporting cast was also real good. These young actors, I'm telling you, I'll be looking for these young actors in the near future whenever the strike ends, and and I think they're going to make some noise in the future. The future looks bright, should I say. Speaking of youngsters here, another note that I took away from this film, it shows you how dumb young people are. It just shows that young people think they're smarter than everybody else, and the more they try to fix a problem is the more that they cause destruction. And these young characters in this film, they were just dumb, just doing what kids would do. Is nothing out of box, out of the realm of disbelief. That I was like, oh man, these kids, why would they do this? Or that's stupid. The typical horror things when you see characters like they're running from a serial killer or a slasher, and they run through the house and they go up the stairs, and you're like, why would you go up the stairs? You're trapping yourself in the house. Just stupid stuff like that happens in horror movies, but you accept it because it's a horror movie. We didn't get none of that there. It wasn't these spirits, haunting them in a like woo ha ha type of way. It was a believable haunting. The possession scenes were just like all the way creepy. When when they were holding their hand, man, I'm getting goosebumps. It was just crazy the way this film was shot, but and acted, because I believe those kids were choking and dying. It felt like they were dying, when they were doing this. But when they came out of it, they was in this ultimate euphoria. It was so weird, but satisfying at the same time. I really don't have many flaws to this film. There were a couple of scenes that felt kind of draggy, just a couple of them, but the film didn't drag itself. It's a quick little hour and a half film, but it was a couple of scenes that felt kind of they stretched it out a little bit to get that hour and a half, but other than that, the film as a whole was great. A great story, a simple concept, yet done differently. The horror sequences were truly scary, truly creepy. The practical effects, I didn't see much visual effects here, CGI effects in this film, but practical effects were just like amazing. And of course the performances were out the box, insane. I'm really impressed by all of these actors, and the direction by these two gentlemen, these twins that made their directorial debut. My suggestion to Hollywood, once all the writers strike and the actors strike is over, studios need to be throwing money at these fellas, because I am truly impressed with the job that they did with this little horror film. This is a little horror film that cost what, $7 million to make? No, not it cost $4 million to make this movie. $4 million, and they used every penny of it. Actually, it looks like a film that was made for 40 million. It looked that good. And man, bravo to everybody involved with this horror film. As it stands right now, the best horror film of 2023. I give Talk to Me a letter grade of an A minus. I think it is very creepy. This is what a horror film is supposed to be. This is a throwback horror film, nothing cheap. And I got to keep driving at home. Nothing cheap. All the scares are earned. And that's all you can ask for in a horror film. I would like to know, have you checked out Talk to Me, or are you too scared? Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also look me up on all social media platforms. Just search the KB Radio Network. You can also search the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube. Give us a subscribe, like this video if you don't mind. Also, don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Concession Stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of Talk to Me. I'll talk to you later, and I want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love everybody, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.